Hey everyone. Okay, so in the second week of mountain painting, we're adding a few more colors. So we're going to add a couple blues, a burnt sienna, a little bit of yellow, and we are going to create these really lovely mountains. This is a bit more wet on wet technique, so make sure to have your paper towel. You'll see in my painting that it does get a little bit messy, but that's okay because we fix it all. Then we're going to let it completely dry. Then we come back in and do another layer. This is a really fun painting. We add in a path to create a bit of perspective and depth. And at the end, we have created really a lovely, lovely landscape scene with these faraway mountains that I would certainly like to go visit, at least for a day. So grab your supplies and let's get ready to paint together. Hey everyone, okay, we're back with another month of mountains painting, or a painting of a mountain in our month of mountains. Okay, so I have a piece of paper here. It is about 6.5 exposed, so it's about 7 inches by about 6. So just in case you are wondering how long, I'm sorry, about 5 inches. So about a 7 vertical, 5 inches horizontal. I've taped off the edges. We're gonna start painting a beautiful mountain scene. And this one I wanted to do where we are incorporating a sunrise. So I was really looking at some gorgeous, gorgeous sunrises. So I've got some gamboge. Again, I have just sketched out mountains here. I've made these ones more jagged because I really wanted to show how brilliant it is to create just a really lovely sunrise. So I've got the paint there. We have the beginnings of, I've got that gamboge. So if you have a yellow, grab that. I'm also gonna grab just some light blue. So if you have like a phthalo blue would work, a cerulean blue would work. I'm gonna get mine pretty watery, and I'm actually gonna just start going across the page with a large brush. I think this is a size is 18, but it's a round tip. And I am just letting the color soak in. I'm gonna go around the tips of the mountains here, but not hitting them quite yet. I'm actually gonna grab a little bit more of that gamboge and put it a little bit right in here. Now we have to be careful because we don't want green, right? So we wanna avoid that. So if you notice any green, just blot it, and then we'll keep going after it dries. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get a bit of orange. I've got a cadmium orange on my palette. You could always mix a bit of red and yellow. And I'm just gonna dab it in here, and I'm gonna put a little bit over here as well. And we are gonna just let that pop a bit. I'm gonna bring that color down here. I'm gonna grab a little bit of my lemon yellow. So some really bright yellow. And I'm gonna tap that into here as well. And you can see some of it's creeping into the blue, and that's just fine. So we're gonna let that do its thing right over here. Then what I wanna do is I actually wanna take a paper towel, and some of the areas in here I am gonna just dab, where we start to get almost a striated sky. So I'm just gonna dab that around, and I'll probably come back and do another layer, but I'm just really working on creating a really light sky. I don't want anything too bold. And I'm gonna come back in and we'll do some more color, almost making you have a little bit of a layering coloring going up here, and also making it look like maybe we have some clouds in the sky. We just don't want it to look like there's straight lines across, right? Go ahead and take that blue now, and I'm actually gonna put some blue right in these mountains. Of course, we are gonna be covering them up with some green, but we're gonna start right down here, creating a little bit of that blue. I do want to incorporate in this one, it would be fun, I think, to incorporate a path. We haven't done that yet in this series. So let's go ahead and just create a path. I'm going to just sketch mine in, and I'm almost going to be having it disappear around a bend here. I'm going to take some brown, and you can tell this is super loose. We're going to come back and add a little bit more detail later. But right now I am keeping things intentionally loose and lovely. I'm going to take a little bit of that brown too. I'm going to come back in my mountains right up. We're going to go over these with green, but we wanted to add a little bit of a contrast, and I'm actually even going to do this lower mountain. I'm going to put some brown there. Okay, so now that we have that going, yep, you can see in the yellow in the sky, we have a little bit of this variation. I'm not bothered by that though. It doesn't look green. It looks like the yellow just kind of blended in, so we're going to leave that alone for now. I am going to get some green. Again, this is just a really fun, loose landscape, incorporating a few more colors, right? Because last week we were doing a lot of, we just had really two colors. We had green and blue, and that was it. So now as I'm going through here, I am going to be careful not to let my green go into the sunset, right? And we will end up, be careful right in there, erasing a lot of the pencil marks. So don't be concerned if you can really see those pencil marks. We're going to let this dry and then come back and erase. Again, just go ahead and start dropping that. And if you see it creep into your sunset, what we're going to do, or I'm sorry, your sunrise, grab your paper towel and go ahead and just dab it. And when we come back in, this is sometimes what happens when we start doing wet on wet, right? It just gets away from us. So we'll come back in and we'll do another layer in the sky, and that will be just fine. All right, let's go ahead and add some more in here. So I'm going to take another layer of green. I'm going to come right along in here, and I'm almost going to accentuate the path. So right in here, we're going to end up doing another layer and adding a little bit more brown, but coming around here, just moving that green around my path. Leave some white space. We're going to put some greenery in here and some shrubs, but I want to let it dry first. Okay, now come back and grab your blue. Whatever blue you used, pick up some blue, and we're going to come back in right in here, pulling in some of our mountains. There's going to be shadowing, right? Because if the sun is coming up behind the mountains, we're actually going to have quite a bit of shadowing going on in darker areas that we can see. And you can see where the blue and the green really start to build a gorgeous depth of color, especially right here where you're really seeing them blend. Right in here, I don't want to mess with that too much, but that's going to be really, really nice. If you want to come back and add some more green, add just a little bit. And again, that is all of a sudden you start seeing the depth, right? Now you might notice your paper is buckling a bit. Totally normal. Completely normal because we have a lot of water going onto this paper now. Okay, so I really like this. This is coming along nicely. A beautiful first layer. Now we are going to let this dry. Going to let it dry, and then we're going to come back and add details after we've given this painting some time to dry and not let that water mix anymore, right? So if I'm going to bring it in a little bit closer so you can also see, so you can see that intensity. You can also see if I back up. Sometimes what I'll do too is I'll take a picture with my phone, and then sometimes with that picture I can really see like, oh, I need to do this and do that. And funny how when you just get to see it a little bit of a different angle, you'll miss things. So if you notice anything right now where you see I've got some green in my sky, just go ahead and dab it out. Like right down here, I've got green in my lane. I'm just going to go ahead and blot that. And I'm not too concerned. I have some yellow. It looked like it got a green in there, so I'm going to go ahead and blot that too, just a little bit. And you know, it's just by lightening it up, that looks good. Now, if you grab a smaller brush, what I'm going to do too is I'm actually going to go back. I'm going to grab some more yellow. Make sure you don't have any green in that yellow. And I am going to come back, and just where it is the brightest, I do want to just add in right in here. Don't let it touch the mountains. This is always where I get nervous, right? Because if I get green in my sky, it is all over. We're going to have to go to massive fix it mode. So I'm going to be careful, and I want to go in here, but there's some wetness there, and I'm actually not going to get too close because I know better. Most of the time I know better. Okay, so go ahead, and that's really, see how that contrast, that looks really fun, right? Now if you want to grab a little bit of orange, get your paintbrush super, super wet, very, very wet, come back, and then just dab a bit of orange right in there. And see how that looks really, we're going to let that just dance now. Just let it dance. Grab a little bit more water. Be careful of the mountains and the green. And just move it around. And if you have an opportunity, go out in the morning or even at night watching the sun rise and set. And see if you can really start to pick up on the different just artistry in the sky. And then incorporate that into your painting. All right. Okay, I keep saying I'm going to stop, but I keep wanting to mess with it. All right, I am going to stop now. We're going to stop. We're going to let it dry. And yep, there is some really wet spots like right here, but you know, that's going to be beautiful. That's really going to show shadowing and depth. And I love it. I love it so, so much. That's actually going to come and be probably one of our assets. So I'm actually going to go right in here. And I want to create some more shadowing. It's soaked, and I know it is, which means I'm really going to have to let it dry before I play with it again. But that's okay. Okay, I'm going to let that sit now, and we're going to come back in just, well, probably I'm going to come back in the morning, but you're going to see this in just a second when I come back and turn on the video camera. Okay, you guys, I'll see you in just a little bit. Okay, my friends, we're back, and it is morning time for me, so I have the beautiful morning sun coming in. It's not too bright yet, which is just perfect. And I'm looking over this painting, and it is both a bit of a mess, and yet it's also really lovely. So first off, what I'm going to do is, if you notice any pencil marks, go ahead and erase those now. So I'm just going to erase these pencil marks. And I am going to, that way they do not show up. And then make sure you get all the residue off too. I had a little path down there. So what do we like so far? It definitely dried heavy in some areas, but we knew it would. And I think what I also see is I almost see some additional mountains in here. So instead of like fighting where it blended into the sky, I'm actually going to think I'm going to use this to my benefit. And I will say we're probably going to let this dry, and then I'm going to have to jump on and do one more recording because I want to do just a glaze over the sky. And then I also want to, again, play with these mountains a little bit. And then we're going to put some of that yellow into the road so our eye is following all the way up. So let's go ahead and see what we can do here. Let's go ahead first with these mountains. I was thinking of adding some pen work, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to go ahead and just use what I have. I'm going to use some green, and over on my palette, as always, needs to be clean. I am just going to pull from that blue. I think in the corner here I have a darker blue, and mix it in with the green on the palette this morning instead of on the paper like we were doing yesterday, letting those colors merge. So we're going to start there. And you can see right in here, and I'll pull that in a bit closer. You may have noticed that merging too, where we have some color. You notice the white because we weren't painting in everything. So I want to take advantage, because let's think too, if these mountains are quite high up, we might still see some snow on them, just depending on the type of year. So I'm gonna, or the time of year, not the type of year. You can see here too, I do want this to be pretty dark, so I'm gonna grab some more blue into the green, and we're just going to dab away in here, creating that mountaintop. And then see where it right here, I'm going to go ahead and just create that as the mountaintop right there, and let that curve come in, and we're going to create like that. That's actually really nice, and it's interesting because now it looks as if it's jutting right into the sky, which I love. I really love that. So right in here we had some white where we didn't want it to hit the end, so I'm gonna go ahead and just, again, almost sticking to the top of an outline of my mountains, and I'm not painting in a straight line. I'm dabbing the paint down, so we're hopefully creating a sense of that depth of the different layers of the mountain. And I'm gonna go up right in here, but I want to retain some of that white, so I'm going to kind of hug that outer edge, and we're going to go all the way down with it. All the way down, really letting that white still keep that white in there. And then I'm going to go below the white. We're going to let it dance a little bit. There. Oh, like that. Okay. This one right here, I'm going to leave that white. If it's maybe a snow-capped mountain, adding in some more shadows over here. And then over here as well. Maybe, it looks like I had a piece of pencil mark that I didn't quite get there. I am going to come back and erase that carefully and then move it away from the paint. Okay, this is really lovely. I had maybe a bit too much. That's kind of an odd shape of white. I'm just going to cut down in the middle of it. Again, thinking too about where the growth might be. These are rather steep mountains. Maybe there's lots of shrubs just covering them everywhere. All right, let's back up a bit now. We're just gonna let that dry. So now we're doing more wet on dry, right? Yesterday we were doing a lot of wet on wet. And I'm really loving the way that hopefully it's starting to pop. Now I have this really dark area right here. That's pretty, it's just almost a hint of water staining. So I am gonna just gently blend that up a bit. And then have that come down just like that. Now on our road down here, rinse your brush really, really good. Even grab another brush if you want to. And let's pick up some of the yellow that we used in the sky. So for me, I had some, I believe it was cadmium yellow, or was it a little bit of gamboge? Whatever yellow you used, we had a couple of them that we were playing with, right? And I want you to go ahead, and we kind of lost the road, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and lightly move that yellow around. Part of the reason I'm doing that is creating that sense of movement of the eye throughout the whole piece. We are going to add more brown in there, but we're just going to let that yellow dry. Then right over here, I think we, you know, as we would be coming right up, let's just say we were stepping up to the path here and we're putting our toes right here. We're looking out to the mountains, so those are far away. But near right where we are, it would not be so far. What would we see right away? Maybe we would see some brush, some big, you know, after one of the I think the most fun things to see after winter is just that burst of green everywhere, right? Once that warms up a bit, it just feels like everything is eager to grow. It's like all that pent up energy. So perhaps on the edge here, we would just go ahead and add in, at first I thought we might do a pond right here, but we're actually gonna do some bodies of water in some future paintings. So why don't we go ahead and you can make this, you know, just a field of brush grass, whatever you like, and you might even make it where you think they're bending in the wind a little bit. Again, we're not being too detailed here. This is still even a bit abstract. I'm going to do some on the other side as well. I'm going to go ahead and darken it up right in here against the path to show that depth. There's always going to be more detail, and oh, we just merged completely into the road. So let me grab my paper towel here, and we're gonna just kind of, oh, you know, there it goes. That's how we fly here, right? And we just are gonna blot that a bit. Okay, and we're gonna come back in with brown, and we will pretend that our road basically, as it gets more narrow, it gets eaten up by the brush. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and even back here, just do a couple more. Now, what might be fun is to add some yellow flowers, just a couple. If you are like me and you've got some white in there, and we're gonna let that dry for a second though. Okay, so I think we're doing good. I think we're actually gonna finish it up with this round. We won't need to stop and let it dry. If we're gonna let this road dry for a second, let's go back up in our sky. And what I wanna do is I'd like just to do a glaze, a really light glaze. So I'm going to use this brush. It's just wider. If you have a wider brush, that'll work well. If you don't, your round tip will work just fine. And so go ahead and whatever blue you've been using, that kind of the lighter blue, get it really mostly water with just a little bit of blue. Just a little bit. And you could actually do this with yellow too. And actually, no, I'm going to stick with the blue. And all I'm going to do is I am going to come over the entire sky with this super light glaze. The yellow is all dry now, so we're not going to make a green. And I'm just again, I'm wanting to, the like right here where it's a line and it's not a soft mark, I want to loosen that up a bit. And yep, we have a little bit of merging because it's picking up, but that's okay. I'm not too concerned. Now after that's been done, everything's been softened up, and if you want to, you can go back in. Let me actually grab up here. I see another area where it's just a bit harsh. And again, I'm looking for anything that looks too harsh. And yeah, that yellow picked up a bit. Go with your paper towel and just kind of soften everything up. Again, I'm just wanting to eliminate harsh lines. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this small brush, going to go back with my lemon yellow or the cadmium yellow, whatever you had, get it nice and wet, and then even just go back in here, make it nice and yellow, and we're just going to let all of that dry. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sunrise. If you want to be really bold and dramatic, you know, you can grab a bit of an orange, even a bit of a red. Now the red, it will definitely cause a little bit of a jump, so maybe something softer. And the only thing I would suggest too, if you do that, I'm just going to put a little bit of color in here. Be careful, be careful of merging into those mountains because they are still a bit wet, so I'll come back and take care of that. If you added in some yellow or red into the sky, let's just make sure we add it into the flowers. So again, we have that beautiful color palette moving through. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to move down here and I'll take those same colors. I'm not going to splatter them because I would really need to let the whole thing dry if we were going to do a little bit of splattering. So instead, what I'm going to do is I am just going to go ahead. That was not what I wanted to do. So I'm going to dab that. Maybe get a fresh paintbrush. Some of paintbrushes can be a little bit ornery. I have a dry paintbrush. I'm going to dip it right into the paint so it's not too wet. And then I am just going to put some dots around here. Big ones, little ones, of the same colors that we were using in the sky. So if you used orange or red or yellow, whatever you used. And if you want to go on the dry area too, sometimes those yellows show up nicely if they are more opaque and less transparent. So if like our cadmium yellows are going to be nice. A cadmium orange is going to usually work up pretty nicely if you're painting it on the dry areas. Okay, see just a little bit. I'll even go over here. Not a lot, just a little bit. And if you think it's too bold, I think that looks nice. You could always just dab it. The last thing that we're going to do is we are going to grab brown. So let's pick up our brown because we want to add some detail into this road. And right in here, I'm going to come in a bit closer. What I can do too is, first of all, I might go right up to my green, and I don't mind that the green and brown merge a little bit. That's just fine. It'll just make it a muddier brown, which is what we want in our road, right? But almost thinking there's piles of dirt or just maybe even stones on the side. Remember too, our path gets smaller as it moves away from us. So I'm going to draw out some of that brown down there, and let's just let it hide. I might even go just little dabs in the distance of where the path is winding around. And then coming back up. And if you think to yourself that's too much, you could always again come back and dab it a little bit. And I can even go just like that. And that actually makes it a little bit more of a path. Come over here again. Just kind of creating that curve with the very tip of my brush. I think there's something mysterious and exciting and adventuresome with paths, especially nature paths, because you never quite know where they're going. We're still kind of in the beginning of the year, just in February, and thinking too, where's this year gonna go? Where is the path going to take us? There's always things we can't see happening. And I think the last few years we might have thought, you know, you almost can get the idea that that they're all bad things, right? But actually there's gonna be lots of really amazing things, and sometimes the hardest things end up being really a blessing, right? So we don't know what's happening, what's coming around the corner, and we are going to trust that there's some really good things in store. Okay, I'm gonna even go a little bit more with my path and just do little dots up high, as if it is a trek up into the mountain, because we are all for adventures this year and we're all for doing hard things. And that is our attitude for the year. Okay, and I blotted it. That way, again, it looks like it's in the distance. I'm even gonna follow that pencil line. We are adventuring this year. Okay, and I'm really kind of liking that. Really liking that. See, this was a surprise. I wasn't gonna do that. All right, well, I hope you are having fun. Now, if you may let this dry, and then you may also come back and be like, I want to add a little bit more here and a little bit more there. I do that a lot. So enjoy that. If you want to even merge some more colors, grab that blue-green you were using in the mountains. You can mix it on your palette, but add a little bit of that in your road. That just adds in some of the color depth. I love that. That's actually really fun. Really, really fun. Okay, you guys, this is lovely. You could even do a little bit of brown if you wanted to in some of your mountains. If you even wanted just to do little bits where you might see some more shadowing, see how it blends really nicely. And once again, it is adding those colors all around. I'm going to back this up so we can see it. And I will be honest, when I turned off the camera yesterday, I thought, ooh, we are just having fun, but so many colors, right? But it turned out really, really nice. So I hope you enjoyed this mountain project. As you can see, I'm still playing because that's what I like to do. So I hope you do kind of keep playing and dabbing and letting it dry and then coming back, making some more changes with your painting. This is lovely. We only used really a couple of colors, blue, green, yellow, and brown. And we created a really, really gorgeous mountain scene. So I'll be taking the tape off after it dries and maybe even putting this one in a frame to have on the desk for a little while. All right, you guys, I will see you soon. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.